Jared Petty here for IGN, joined by
Vincent Janito.
And we're playing Galak-Z.
We sure are.
We are. Vince, you just reviewed Galak-Z. Tell us what we're seeing here.
So Galak-Z is it's kind of hard to exactly describe it. It's basically a space shooter roguelike where you kind of go into like space hulks and caves like the one I'm going to right now. And these are all kind of randomly generated.
Okay.
You'll find different upgrades inside. You don't know which ones you're going to find. Every run is different.
Okay.
So think of it like if they took like somewhere between if you did like a mix of asteroids and Spelunky.
That sounds like everything I want in life.
If they Spelunkified asteroids.
Okay, so you're a little spaceship moving through this area, and we're assuming this is a procedurally generated mission here, right?
Yes, that's correct. And right now, this mission is for me to eliminate an Imperial officer, so I'm trying to find where that Imperial officer is. All right, so
let's talk a little about your capabilities here. What just happened?
I just became a robot because that's what one does.
All right, so you transform. Now, this is obviously kind of an anime series, space series inspired game, but you just transformed into a robot. You've got a grappling hook. What is happening?
And that grappling hook is very important because I can grapple things, but I can also grapple enemies and slam them against elements of the environment, or I can take elements of the environment and slam them against enemies, or use them as cover.
Now you can use them as cover. You can actually sneak around, like keeping crates between you and the enemies and stuff?
Yeah, you can, and you can. I have this charge slash that allows me to hit guys for a loop and slam them into the wall and stun them.
Okay.
So the mech is great, but the mech is not necessarily always better than the ship, which we'll get to in a second.
All right.
So here's one of those random abilities that you'll just find lying around. Let's see what I get.
What you got?
I got the Whisper Engine.
Okay.
So this actually lowers, see that little halo around me?
Yep.
That's like my detectable radius around me when I boost. And with the Whisper Engine, that radius gets a lot smaller, so it actually becomes easier for me to sneak around enemies I don't want to fight.
So you can be stealthy and sneak around. Now, you've got the robot abilities here. You also have the ability to transform into a fighter.
That's right.
All right. And as a fighter, why would you want to do this? So why give up that grapple and shield?
For this lateral thrust that allows me to circle strafe, for one.
That's awesome.
And also the ability to juke like this. This actually allows me to leave the plane. I become completely invincible. I also get another cool little thing, which we're going to show off right now.
All right.
Against whatever hapless fools we find over.
Let's find some hapless fools. Oh, hapless fools. There's one right there.
There's a hapless fool.
All right.
Oh, there's a group of hapless fools. Oh, we're going to make this happen.
All right. Oh, missile barrage. That's awesome.
We got the sweet missile barrage.
That's very, very Macross right there.
Oh, yeah, totally. And we're going to...
All right,
make a chain reaction of little explosions there. Yeah, all this stuff like the barrels, the explosive barrels, that like that gas vent down there. That's all that stuff is like random. Like I don't like this whole thing is just. You know, I don't know what I'm gonna run into.
Right, and between these missions, you have the ability to upgrade. You spend things that you find in one mission to collect between another. But like, we'll talk about that in a second. What I want to ask you about now is you're moving around with the greatest of ease. It seems. How's the control in this game?
The controls are definitely the best thing about this game.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's so incredibly fluid, and not just fluid, but they really give you, especially when you're in the jet form, there's this real sense of piloting. Like it takes to get used to the momentum of everything, and like when to use the juke and when to use the lateral boost to circle strafe around dudes. Yeah. It really is like an art, and the game at first is very challenging because you're trying to come to grips with this multi-directional thrust element, but once you do, you absolutely feel like you're piloting something rather than just like moving something around, and that's such a key important part of games like this.
Would you compare it to something like Defender, where you've got a lot of abilities and it takes a while to get your head around them, but once you
absolutely it is.
Absolutely. All right, I was wondering about that.
But once you get used to it, it's like you feel like a badass Viper pilot basically.
Okay, yeah, the Viper like resemblance to the ship that cannot be unintentional.
Oh no, not at all.
So let's talk about the roguelike element. You mentioned it's a shooter roguelike. You talked about the shooter controls. Now, what about the roguelike end of this? I see you picking up upgrades. Are these going to be available between missions, or in roguelike status, once you die, you're going to lose them?
Yeah, that's the same thing here. Is once you die in this game, you do lose all the. You start from the beginning of the season, quote unquote, and then you have to start from scratch. And which things you're going to have available to you are kind of different depending on. Oh boy. Sorry, this is getting ugly.
That's all right.
It's kind of different depending on...
did you just pick up an electrical thing and stun that guy?
Yes, I did.
That was awesome.
I also opened up that air vent to try to like keep him at bay while I fire at him. Yeah.
This
guy's a little bit tough. So, yeah, all these upgrades are gonna go away as soon as I die, which I love the challenge of that. The roguelike elements are solid. They definitely succeed in adding some new layers of replayability, because every time you don't know what kind of upgrades you're gonna find. Like, you might find something really good, like, you know, in Spelunky, like you might find the teleporter for free,
right?
You know, or you might get enough money early on to buy it, and then you're in good shape. Or like you might find yourself that, you know, without any money to get, you know, to get any like bombs.
Yeah, any
or
of the
ropes,
upgrades
and
you need, and just end up in an almost unwinnable situation.
Exactly, and that can happen here too. Now I'm going to use this Whisper engine to good effect here. My small radius is going to allow me to boost up to the extraction point without alarming this this gunship.
Nicely done.
Woof.
Okay,
got out just in time.
All right, so you showed off the. You've talked about the roguelike elements. You've talked about the controls. What didn't you like about Galak-Z?
Well, you know, the roguelike elements are interesting in the sense that I did like them, but there's also degrees to which they all work.
Yeah.
It all works well. But unlike something like Spelunky or, say, FTL, where every run feels like totally different and like a new thing depending on what kind of events you draw and what kind of levels you end up being into. A lot of the roguelike elements, like the upgrades are great, and that does change how you play. But what doesn't really work out so great is like the mission variety. Like, it always ends up being like, so we just played a mission, for instance, that was like, go kill an Imperial officer.
Yeah.
And that was, hey, I go inside this Space Hulk. I go find the Imperial officer and I kill him. This mission, Dark Matter Paradox, it's going to be gather scrap metal, and all that's going to be is I'm going to go into another procedurally generated Hulk, and I'm going to go to the objective point, and I'm going to destroy this box of scrapping and leave.
So there's more similarity than you'd like between the missions.
Yeah, exactly. More similarity than I'd like between the missions, and even between, honestly, even between the levels and the way they look. There's not as much differentiation as I kind of would hope for.
So you're enjoying what you saw, but you wish there'd been more variety. However, overall, what are you going to give this?
So I'm giving the game overall an 8.3.
Oh, that's great on our scale.
Yeah, it is a great. I think it's a great game. I think the controls, the sense of challenge, and the sense of mastery, all excellent. It's got a great personality. I love the sci-fi Saturday morning cartoon vibe, and all the little touches of personality that go into it. Like right here at the beginning of a stage, you know, they don't only randomly generate the dungeon you go into. Also, these episode names and authors are completely just, they're gobbledygook.
Oh, that's wonderful.
They're randomly generated gobbledygook. So, and even these conversations, they're not randomly generated, but like there's a pool of like, you know, different conversations you can have in every mission. And you don't know what you're going to get every time. So even if you end up with the same mission, it still does change to a degree in terms of the personality. So the personality is there, and the presentation is wonderful.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of actual mission variety and the roguelike elements really making you think about using your abilities in different ways and giving you different kinds of challenges to meet or different events to really kind of deal with, it doesn't really do much in that regard, and that's kind of the weakest part of the game.
So this is Vince Ingenito's review commentary on Galak-Z. Thank you so much, Vince.
Oh, my pleasure, man.
And,
Thanks for joining me.
Folks, for everything transforming spacecraft, giant robots, and galaxies far, far away, we hope you'll stay with your friends here at IGN. Bye-bye.